Hello guys, welcome. This is Skycurser Daily number 15. We have some good things in store for today, and those things are listed here on the Trello board. Specifically, I'm going to be assigning a couple of items right now, some things that we need to get in order for MGC, and so I'm just going to start pulling those over here because those are the things we're going to work on today. Video files working on prototype, smaller hitbox, Griffin special, slower start, timer on high score screen, guy invulnerability for Griffin special. So some more Griffin special items. So we will leave the current task as is at the moment. So I know we've been working on Griffin special the last several broadcasts, but we've also been working on some things related to the Griffin special that are definitely essential for us to have in order by MGC. So, keeping that in mind, I'm going to, this one got finished. Let's gonna kind of do some cleanup real quick. Insert coin got finished. Necrostar impact got finished. I'm going to create a new ticket number, and the current ticket number would be looks like 14. And let's go ahead and add that here. SC14, Skycurser 14, close, Skycurser 15, close, and everything else will be related to Skycurser 16, which is MGC material. So let's just mark this Skycurser 16, hit save, and then we are going to go ahead and open our bash, our get bash, our shell for get. And I'm going to make sure you can see that. Let me see what's going on here. My caps lock was on. There we go. Okay, I'm just checking to see if there's anything that needs to be committed. Yes, there is. Git add everything. Git commit changes. Updates. I'm going to keep this brief. Come on. Keyboard not working with me today. All right. Git push to dev. All right, and since this branch should definitely be up to date because this is the branch we are working out of, we can now do a checkout -B for branch, and we're going to check out 15. SC-15. I'm going to make that lowercase. Okay. Skycurser 15, and we are working on the Griffin special. We're going to give it a little bit of a slower start and add guy invulnerability for the Griffin special. So let's go ahead and open up Game Maker. Jordan Swag, hey man, how's it going? Oh, I guess I lost you already, maybe. So yeah, man, we're working on Skycurser. And I'm going to update something really quickly on the stream. DeBeastly Bro, what's up, man? Just working on some lighting here for a second. See if I can get this. See how I can get this to look. Okay. Almost finished. There we go. Pretty close. Still trying to get better lighting here. So just bear with me. I'll keep working on lighting as we move forward, but I don't want to waste a lot of time on this since we got a lot to cover today. So first and foremost, let's just turn on the let's make the animation just a little bit longer for the Griffin Special Sprite. Let me just look here and make sure I've got this correct. So we're talking about this guy right here. We're going to make it a little bit slower, and I think the only thing that we have to do really is turn down the image speed. We're going to do it in the init file, specifically the script where we have it mapped to special init. Pardon me. Argument 0. Okay, so we've got the image speed right now to set to 6.6. Let's set it to 3.3. 0.66 versus 0.33. Let's set it to 0.33. Good enough. I'm going to leave it at that for the cam today. Maybe I'll just leave it at that. Okay, sorry. All right. That might do it for that, but the next thing we're going to do is, as soon as the Griffin Special is activated, we're going to make sure Skycurser is invulnerable. So let's focus on that for a minute. And we can check that by using the draw mode. so we can turn on flashing. We can basically just say flashing equals true. Notice that if we say flashing equals true and we make sure flash counter is set to 0, which it should be, then it will set invincible to true and we'll begin making Skycurser flash. Now, so there's a flash counter max that I can control, and I'm trying to think how to do this because I don't want to change what else I already have in place at the moment. So let me just keep looking here. I know we have a I want to check one other thing, which is what do the enemies look for? They can only attack him if a certain piece is in place. So we're going to look at script enemy 1 collide. And he's making sure invulnerable is equal to false and invincible is equal to false. Yep. So I think all we have to do is make sure invincible is true. And let's see what the flash counter is on Skycurser. The flash counter max, actually. Flash counter max. 7. So I think what we'll do is just control the flash counter max in the middle of it and then reset the flash counter back to the original. So we'll do something like this. Original flash counter max equals 7. Set flash counter max by default to the original flash counter max. And then we'll have a special flash counter max if he's activated a special, and I want this to be a lot longer. 7 is only 7 steps. So right now our room speed is 60, and we want to make sure that our room speed is in a good place, or our flash counter max is in a good place to go along with that. And the special, I would like this to maybe last for 60, like almost a whole second once he casts it. Let's just see how that feels. And we'll set the flash counter max equal to this. Clipboard access denied. Oh, that's mean. Game Maker, what are you doing to me? Alright, so I think that's pretty simple fix. We'll just exit Game Maker for a minute. Save the changes, yes. I think Game Maker sometimes gets in a weird state when you're using version control, specifically Git, and you're switching between branches. So let's try to work on that at the moment. We should be able to fix that by restarting Game Maker. So we're going to do that real quick. Okay. Alright, we're back in. Let's see if we have access to the clipboard now. That gets kind of annoying, especially when you're trying to make sure your variable names are exactly the same, especially when they're longer variable names. And for some reason, we don't have access to the clipboard. Not to worry, we'll just make sure our words are correct. Special flash counter max equals 60. And so what we'll do is check for the Griffin special. I think this is going to be pretty easy. So when it is initted, we say if instance exists, object Skycurser, object Skycurser dot flash counter max equals special. I think it's special flash counter max. Again, back to why it's nice to just be able to copy paste, but we're going to verify this. Special flash counter max. Let's go look at Skycurser. Yep, special flash counter max. We got that right. And then the last thing we want to do is make sure we know when the Griffin is disappearing. And we should get that to occur. I thought it was going to be a movement, but apparently it'll be an animation, which is right here. And right before we destroy the Griffin, we will set the I'm trying to think through this, because the Griffin is likely not going to be on screen for a full second. And so I'm trying to see, I mean, we basically have to make sure that we set the flash counter max back to what it should be, but if the Griffin is destroyed and our counter is based off of the Griffin, then we have to make sure that, well, basically what will happen is we're going to reset the counter back to what it was, and that would likely be less than a full second, like we're trying to control. So we have to be careful how we attach this. And so I think what I'm going to do is set a variable on Skycurser, and it will just be, for now, it'll be right here. We'll say special activated equals false, and when the Griffin inits, we will do a special activated equals true. Object Skycurser dot special activated equals true, and then over in Skycurser we will handle that right here. So let me just make sure I'm getting this in the correct location. Level start 1, else, everything else. I think we're right here. Let me just make sure. And yep. Freeze, Skycurser return home, else keys disabled equals true, SE fire enabled equals false, if level complete is equal to false. So we want to put our stuff in here for now. And if you're watching and you're trying to follow along, I am throwing caution to the wind a little bit in this, in that generally I'll try to put my my logic into scripts, but this logic is already in the object Skycurser, and I haven't gotten a chance to clean this up yet. And because MGC is right around the corner, I'm trying to just get everything in, make sure it's working, and then after MGC I'm going to spend a lot of time cleaning a lot of stuff up. And I may even be able to do that before MGC, but I'm trying to make sure that I don't have my back against the wall and spend a lot of time cleaning things up and then don't get the last features and bug fixes in before MGC. So right here we're going to say if special activated is equal to true, and we're going to set one more variable, and we will do inside of here we'll say special counter. We're going to increment special counter, which I haven't even created yet, and we'll say if special counter is less than or equal to special flash counter max, That's what we just already created. That's 60 steps. Go ahead and do the of course I can't cut and paste here, so apparently just gonna have to be real careful about what's going on. Special counter ++. So I recently installed Microsoft Visual Studio 2012 on here because I'm trying to compile to C. Because apparently, if you can use the Windows YYC compiler, it's a lot faster. You get a huge performance boost out of it. And I just installed that yesterday, and so I'm wondering if that's what's blocking me from some of these basic commands like copy paste. Can I do this? Nope, can't even do that. Special counter less than or equal to flash counter max, special counter ++. I will make sure that I create that variable, and then I will go else special counter reset special counter equals 0, and then also special activated equals false. So I'm basically turning off the ability to come into here until it gets set again when the Griffin special gets activated again. So special counter equals 0, that's what I have to set in the create event. Put that right next to the other special information that I've added here. Special counter equals 0. Save. Alright, so we're in a good spot, and let me just think through this for a second. I may not need to do anything else based on the way it is right now. He's invulnerable. Oh, I have one more thing to do, which I think is in the animation. Nope, it's not going to be right here. We're going to reset the flash counter back to the original flash counter max. So we do that right here. Just back right where we were, and not the correct place, it's down here. So flash counter then gets set back to what it was initially, original flash counter max. And let me make sure I set the flash counter correctly here. Flash counter max, yep. Special activated is true, yep. So we're good. We're in a good spot here. Basically everything should work. Let's verify this by going in game and seeing what the result is. Okay, here we go. Okay, we're waiting for it to compile. Gotta make sure that it's also compiling straight to keyboard first. Okay, we're on keyboard. Should be in a good spot right now. Okay, here we go.
Mission 1. Death at dusk. Go!
And bug. Very loud in my ears right now, so let's turn that down a little bit. Okay, let's go just kind of look at this bug for a minute. Special flash counter max. Ah, we need to say object special flash counter max. Object Skycurser. Object Skycurser. Had a problem with that. Let's try it again. Go back in. Recompiling. Maze 370, thanks for the follow. Welcome.
Mission 1, Death at Dusk. Go!
Messed up too, abort. So what I saw was that we need to fix original flash counter max. I think that's saying right here. Let's just verify. Original flash counter max. Ah, now I have access to the clipboard apparently. Okay, let's make sure that we named this correctly. Ah, it's off. Original and original. Let me make sure I spelled it correctly here. I mean, I should have, considering I couldn't copy it. I respelled it. Yep, it's there. So that's the problem. Let's try this again. Just troubleshooting at the moment, troubleshooting the flash counter. So let's just keep working on this for a minute. Here we go. Just had another follower. Sounded like
Skycurser.
I didn't see the name, so thanks for the follow. Alright. Yep. Game Maker does not like when you're switching back and forth between game and gameplay, so give me a second. The plugin I installed, I purchased a plugin for $10, and I installed a plugin called, I don't remember, I think it's like Video Player or something like that. It's created by Wolf, Team Wolf or something, and it's literally the only one I found would do what I needed it to do. I'm looking for maybe a better one that will help set up the track mode.
Mission
It works fairly decently, and it allows you to play videos so that the game can be attracting while nobody's playing it. You can basically go into demo mode. But it's a little bit buggy, and it only allows you to play AVI files. It would be awesome if you could play MP4 files. Mainly because MP4s are, audio and video, and they're a lot smaller than the AVI file. So I'm going to probably reach out to those guys and ask them if they can update it. Okay, so Skycurser does not flash at all. That's the main thing. We've got to make sure that you flash. So it's not flashing at all. It's activated. And that was the whole purpose of us working on the flashing and the flash counter information. So let's go look at that. One other thing that we got to do is turn flashing to true. I think we did not do that in the init, so let's verify that. That's right, we did not. So since we're turning it on, let's go ahead and go skycursor.flashing equals true, and that should turn it on and activate it altogether. Okay, back in. Alright, we're recompiling here.
Mission 1, Death at Dusk. Go!
Okay, let's try this. I'm going to fast forward to where it makes sense to use one of these real quick. Fast forward to the second part of the level today. Okay, here we go. Okay, look at that. Skycurser flashing. Definitely flashes at literally no more than a second. I feel like that's a little bit of a that's really not long enough for it to be invincible after casting a special, just based on the way it feels. So I'm going to update that really quick. Let's just change the amount of time that he can be invincible. That should be in the create event where we added that counter max, and let's change that to 120. Let's try 2 seconds on that. It's a very powerful special, so it should take care of most anything that it touches, but I just didn't feel like it was long enough. One other thing I'm thinking about, I can knock 2 more bugs out while I'm sitting here thinking about this, and these bugs will not take long. I want to add the ability to swipe when using the Vulcan cannon. So I want to take out this one right here. Take out this one. And I think that will allow us to use the Vulcan cannon and the katana swipe at the same time. I also want to change the size of the hitbox for the katana based on some feedback from user play. So I'm just going to barely, it's not even that much, but barely pull it down a little bit. Automatic, I think automatic might make the most sense. Full image, it was full image. Let's see how this swipe goes. Right here especially, automatic. Yeah, that takes enough off that I think it's going to feel exactly correct. And we didn't want to take much off, so just that much should be fine. Okay, so we're going to go back in, compiling. Okay, so here we go again. Looks like it's almost finished. Don't know what's stuck on here. Last piece is okay. We're in.
Mission 1, Death at Dusk. Go!
Yeah, that felt pretty accurate in terms of time. Not sure how I feel about that. That may be a side effect of just kind of how the hitbox is. I don't know that I can make that feel or act any better, at least for now. In terms of swipe, when I push forward into something, basically the swipe is already done, but the hitbox still exists. Maybe I could change the mask index so that the mask index is only a partial and it focuses mainly on the back once the sprite is past a certain point. checked out the special a little bit. That was pretty good. Still pretty good. Alright. Okay, I'm going to call that good on several things. Let's go look at our Trello board. Griffin special start slower. I think we're at a good point there. I'm going to say complete for now. Add guy in vulnerability complete. Katana smaller hitbox complete. Katana swingable when loading Vulcan or shotgun. I did not test this. I want to test this on both the shotgun and the Vulcan cannon. I did not update it for the shotgun, so I know it's not working for the shotgun yet. Okay, so for some reason also continue mode is not incrementing the number of pals. We will get to that in a minute. Let's verify this one right here, the Katana blade, able to swing when holding down the Vulcan cannon or the shotgun. I think we got the Vulcan cannon in place already. Let me just update the shotgun. So we're going to update the shotgun and remove the check to see if the Katana blade is being held down. Here it is right here. Now look at this. Okay, I think we're in a good spot there. Save, okay, play.
Mission 1, Death at Dusk. Go!
Okay, I'm still not able to swipe the katana when I'm shooting the Vulcan cannon. What I just changed should have helped me do that. I can basically do it when I'm shooting the shotgun. But the Vulcan cannon is still not updated yet, so we got to make sure that's updated. Vulcan, here it is. Key fired, key check pressed. I know I'm doing this check right here, but this shouldn't be blocking me from using the katana. I guess this right here could be blocking me from using the katana and the Vulcan cannon together, so I'm going to remove this guy off of here. Well, let me think about this. If I remove both of these off of here, that should just basically allow the katana blade to slash whenever it needs to, as well as keeping it off of those other locations. Let's just try that. Not sure. The whole reason I added some of that in there in the first place was because I felt like the Griffin special did not have the priority it needed when trying to activate it. So I'm not sure exactly if this is going to feel right or not. We'll just have to wait and see.
Mission 1, Death at Dusk. Go!
That feels right for sure. See how this reacts with the Griffin special. Feels pretty good. Yeah, I mean, the big thing was that the shotgun and the Vulcan cannon were competing, and I was trying to cover all bases and let the katana blade like take care of the katana blade as well. But it seems like people like to be able to hold the Vulcan cannon down and wipe the katana blade at the same time, so I'm trying to allow that. Just fast forward.
Continue.
Yeah. Oh, really? Alright, good enough for now. Alright, let's go back and look at what's on the menu here. Things to get done. I think I just finished one of them. Yep, complete there. We need to put a timer on the high score screen, and we need to have a sus indicator. But first, let's do this one. Continue mode needs extra POWs. I'm going to pull these back since right now they're not technically in progress, and I'm focused on the in progress and these other assigned ones. So POWs on continue. Let's look at the helper script reset game. Right now I'm looking to see how many lives get assigned, and I don't think I assigned the lives actually right here. I think I assigned them, let's see. I feel like I might assign them in the actual controller step. Let's check. Not there. Room level 1. Let's check there. You know, it might actually be in that other one. Let's see here though. Looking at this one. This is on the create event of room level 1. We set lives left here, but we need to make sure this gets set elsewhere as well. Let's look at global.lives left, because that gets reset for sure whenever the continue occurs. And let's see where we do that. Global.lives left. Controller persistent in the step event. It's probably one of these right here. Yep. Let's go here first. Global.lives left. So we reset it right there. Credits control, end of game, all guys gone. If game start in game over does not equal true, if the credits are greater than 0 and they've pushed start. Okay, this has got to be it. That should do it. So we just basically updated whenever Skycurser continues, or whenever the player continues, they get a refresh of the pals that they have, the specials that are available to them.
Mission 1, Death at Dusk. Go!
Okay, so we're going to intentionally die here in just a second after I've exhausted all the pals. I think I might make Skycurser invincible just a tad bit longer. There we go. Die. Continue. Boom. 3 more pals. Got it. Updated. Task complete. Alright, let's hop out of here. Okay, here we go. Let's go look at... So we got this completed. We definitely want to put a timer on the high score screen. And we want to add a sus indicator. Not exactly sure how I'm going to do the sus indicator yet, but the sus indicator is basically a suspect indicator. In other words, I feel like I gotta sneeze. The player's high score is suspect. Mainly if free animality, the program is GMS, Game Maker Studio, and I'm using the professional version. I think I paid like 49 bucks for it or something. But they do have a free version, just like Unity does, just like a lot of other game engines do. I would like the interface to be a little bit cleaner and a little bit nicer looking, because I have a feeling that they've got a really good, base in terms of what you can do just kind of out of the gate, but I'm sure that they're losing a lot of potential developers to a program like Unity that just looks really good, or Unreal Engine that looks really good just out of the box. And yeah, it does have a lot more. Some of those do have more functionality. I'm thinking of like Unreal and just kind of all the things that are available to you out of the box. But for what it's worth and for where you can get with it, I think they've got a pretty good product overall. I have my moments where I get frustrated with little things, but I'm sure it would be like that with any of the other programs I work with too. Awesome. Oh, you use Unity? Yep. Player's high score is suspect. Suspect if they make it to the boss and die, and To Beastly, what's up, man? Thought you were in here a little bit earlier. Then went into league queue. Yeah. How do you like Unity, for Animality? Suspect if they make the boss and die and get a high score. Okay, perfect. That's just kind of a funny thing that we're doing, basically. So we're kind of saying, we're just kind of doing this thing where we're basically saying that if a player, gets on the high score screen, which I think at minimum is scoring, like, if we reset all of the points, I think the minimum is like either 100 out of the box or 250 out of the box. But if they make it to the high score screen and they lose to Gaki, the boss of level 1, then we're basically saying that their score is suspect. So they keep updating Unity. Yeah, that's good, man. I'm glad you like it. Are you building a 2D game or a 3D game with it? To Beastly Bro, it's going good, man. Already knocked out a lot of things for tonight's stream, specifically for MGC. I've got a couple of items here. These two items that I'm working on right here with Trello that I would like to add. I've already knocked out about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items tonight, so doing pretty good. Everything's going well. Cool, man. What game are you making? What's it like? What type of game, I guess? Thanks to Beastly. Okay. So we are now adding a timer to the high score screen. And I'm looking for the high scores. Let's just look at this for a second. Mega Man X controller system. Sweet. So basically you're helping all the speedrunners be able to output their controller on screen so other people can see what their controls are. I've seen a couple of those. It sounds like that's what you're doing. Mega Man X movement system. Sweet. Okay, so let's see here. High scores. I gotta see which screen they go to after completing level 1. So let's look at this step event. Sound mission, sound level 1, nothing there. Controller persistent. Let's see if this would control it. I don't think so. Again, this is why everything needs to be updated so I don't spend time going back and forth between places that are, kind of a waste of time. Open something up, close it because it's not the right place I need to be. So this is kind of where paying down tech debt will come into play. Her to follow. Free Animality. Thanks, man. Am I saying your name right? Fry Animality? I don't know. Okay, here we go. Thanks for the follow, though, man. So we are. Let's look at controllers. Wouldn't be there. Helpers. Screenshot, room controls, go to, high scores, get, display, select, save. Okay, let's look at the enemy generator because I have a feeling some of that information is going to be in here. So I've used this object right here basically as a controller, and it's like a timeline controller. I've put when all the enemies should so it looks like it's in script level complete. Basically, I've put when all the enemies should appear on screen, at what points on screen they should appear. So trying to open that so you can see it a little bit more. But so yeah, if they're in story mode, then at 3 seconds do this, at 3 seconds do this, at 6 seconds do this, at 9 seconds do this, at 12 seconds do this. And some things are dependent upon, okay, animality. Animality. I think that's right. Mortal Kombat thing. Yep. Got it. Basically when they could do a fatality on somebody, but instead they do a phrenology. Yep. Alright, so what I was explaining here was, there are some times where they get to a certain point of the level that I don't want to just keep sending units out on screen, especially until something has completed. For instance, you've probably seen me do it a couple times, even this stream, where they get to the end of the first section of level 1 where Necrostar chunks are flying across the screen, flies are flying across the screen, and then all of a sudden when the last fly is killed, then he rushes down below the clouds, and then the city, kind of rushes up. That is kind of, a lot of that is controlled in here in terms of I'm not doing all the scripting for each one of those things like the clouds movement and stuff like that. But then I release certain sections of the game to go to the next section in this object enemy generator, which is again basically my timeline. Okay, so we got that, and I did see that there's a script I have called level complete. I think this would do it. Let's check. Level 1 complete equals true. And I'm actually thinking of the step event in the object controller persistent and thinking when that would go to the next room. And this should go to credits control, end of game. I would basically control here. Be red, it's Cruz, just popped in. What's up, Chris? So Chris is in the chat. Chris is one of the other indie devs working on this project. There's 3 of us total working on this project. Chris is one of the other guys. He's labeled a Skycurser in here. To Beastly Bro, yeah, I'll show you the animation when he dies. And oh, he says I've got an animated GIF you can watch of it. Yeah, he might be able to. Chris might be able to send you right to it, to Beastly Bro, so you can check it out. But you'll probably see it here in a second as well when I go in game. There you go. There's a link to it. So is it goal-based, like if enemy count is less than 0, play stage transition? Yeah, pretty close to that. In some places I make sure either the enemy is dead or make sure the enemy is off screen, at which point the instance of that object is destroyed as well. So yeah, I do things like checking to see if there are no enemies on screen to go to the next transition. To Beastly Bro, he just posted that in chat. Chris, I'll hop on Skype. If you want to hop on, man, no pressure, but I'll hop on Skype just in case. All right. Give me just a second, guys. Room, go to room initials entry. Chris is calling. What's up?
What's up, dude?
Hey, let me turn up your sound real quick.
No worries.
Talk again, Chris.
What's going on, man?
Okay, cool. sounds a little bit better. I think most everybody could hear you. Um, all right, so not a lot, man. Just working through. I've already knocked out a lot of the things that we talked about yesterday, based on our gameplay, and I'm working on two more things at the moment. The initials entry screen, where we make sure that once the high score screen shows for a certain amount of time, that it continues moving forward.
Nice, yeah.
Oh, he meant the boss animation. The boss death animation. Yeah, I'll show it to you in a second. I think we'll have to show that in game mostly, because it's a I've taken a combination of what Chris worked on in terms of all the different animations he did, and did some custom programming with it to kind of put it all together.
It's a pretty strong reference to the big nuclear bomb at the beginning of Akira. I don't know if any of you guys watching are Akira fans, but the way they handled the explosion, showing the force of it, it's just like this massive orb that grows. And we kind of did something similar with the way that the missile explodes there during Gaki's death, where it's just this huge orb and it has kind of like a ring, almost like a Saturn ring that expands out from it. You'll see me pull a lot of inspiration, or whatever you want to call it, a lot of anime and just the way the Japanese handle effects animation. I'm really fond of, even in the 80s, a lot of even the Transformers and Voltron and stuff that got, westernized. But the way they handled their animation, you'll see a lot of that style, I think, in Skycurser. Even the way the katana blade swings, it's a nod to Strider's blade in the Capcom game Strider. So there's a lot of those types of effects animations in the game.
So, Chris, let me see here just for a second. Enter room delay less than room speed times 5. Enter room delay plus plus. I'm wondering, how long do you want the screen to be on for the high score initials before it moves forward?
Real quick, man. Like I'd say, like when in doubt, it's like 10 seconds.
10 seconds. Okay. I think I had that in place before, but after changing a couple of small, making a couple of small tweaks, that functionality kind of went away at some point. So, I was thinking it looked like Strider. A friend of Malady said he thinks it was looking like Strider with the katana blade.
Yeah, for now. I mean, the Capcom style, they were just so. They had the budget, they had the talent, that their 2D animation is second to none. I'm a huge Street Fighter guy. Third Strike was, I think, kind of one of those pinnacle games of 2D animation. So yeah, I mean, you'll see a lot, I think, of subtle references, if not blatant references to a lot of the stuff they did. But kind of filtered through this weird Midwestern interpretation of it, so it kind of has its own flavor. But yeah, very heavily influenced by Capcom for sure.
Okay, guys. So I think I just updated. What I just worked on was basically the high score initials screen. So once the player is done entering their initials, yeah, Gaki is spelled just like that. DeBeastly, bro, you got it. Once the players finish entering their high scores, or if they don't even get a high score and they can't enter their initial, they will basically get sent to the high score screen. On the high score screen right now, the high score screen just sits there on its own and doesn't progress forward yet. Well, what we'd like to do is let it sit on the screen for basically 10 seconds, and then once it reaches 10 seconds, go ahead and reset the game, or it's basically a soft reset where we just send them back to the Blast City Studio screen. It doesn't go through the hard reset process, so to speak. Don't judge Reno. No, man, you got it exactly right. Okay, so, and then the other thing that we're going to do this time around, of course, we got to get a high score. Well, I'd like to get a high score just so we can check it out on the screen. Maybe not, because I've been playing this a while, and there's a lot of high scores. But I know it'll still make it to the high score screen, and we want to check and make sure that at 10 seconds it basically bounces and goes to the restart of the game. But in the process, we're going to look and see what happens with Gaki, since you wanted to see the animation to Beastly. What are you working on right now, Chris?
I'm actually doing one of the turbofan portraits.
Oh, tight.
So yeah. Brad, if you want to keep narrating, just let me know. I'll stop at any moment. But
Sure.
For anybody that's watching, what we're trying to do is, since we're just a couple of indie devs trying to make an impact, trying to get the name out on our game, we've been rewarding people who go out of their way to talk about the game on forums or on social media by actually inducting them into what we're calling the Turbo Fan group. And one of the rewards of being a Turbo Fan is you get sort of a street team package with a bunch of t-shirts that we've designed for the game, some posters. Some of the posters are limited edition screen prints. And then you also get a custom pixel portrait done by me. So you'll have your own immortalized face on our website with pixel art that I've done. And so far we've got one Turbo Fan that's been officially put on the website, but I'm actually working on the second and third right now. So if you're interested, find our contact information on our website, reach out to us, and all we ask in return is that you help us spread the word and help get the word out on the game.
Cool. And I just typed something in chat, Chris. I was just waiting for you to finish because the game gets loud really quick, and I didn't want you to get drowned out. So I'm going back in game here.
I'm going to go ahead and mute Brad. I'm going to just get back to art. Feel free to call out for me if you need anything.
Okay, cool, man. Sounds good. All right, so we're just going back in game here.
Skycurser, Mission 1.
All right, here we go.
Death at dusk. Go.
I think I can actually fast forward, get the Gaki animation in, and still see the high score screen that I want to see. So let's just do all of that. Basically, the fast forward that we have in place to Beasley stops the second that we get to Gaki. So it basically slows right down the second we get to Gaki. And there you go.
Mission complete.
Okay, we're just going to watch the high score screen here, make sure it bounces out of here after about 10 seconds. Boom, reset. Perfect. Alright. Perfect.
Skycurser.
Thanks guys.
Mission.
Okay, cool. Just making sure everything's kind of working the way it should. Yeah, man, Chris put a lot of time into thinking how he wanted it to go, and then it took a ton of time to program all that, because you're basically taking over the controls, and then, of forcing everything to go to a specific position. And then the hardest part of that whole animation is basically getting Gaki, getting the smoke that's coming out of the missile in Gaki's head to be in the correct position. For reasons that are a little bit difficult to explain, it makes the most sense to have the smoke animation separate from the missile, mainly because we end up taking the smoke animation away at the very end and then replacing it with that little animation that looks like the missile caught on fire, and then, you know, destroy from there. So it was the hardest piece, making sure that smoke animation stays, you know, like he turns so many different times and ways in that whole sequence in the boss fight. That was literally the hardest part. So okay, so man, we knocked another one off the list here, so I am gonna pull this over. Chris, hop on for a second.
I'm here, dude. What's up?
Okay, so the last couple things, really, I mean, I pretty much, credit glitch is fixed. Yes. Yes. Yes, love.
I can't believe you got sus indicator on.
Give me a second, love. Yeah, give me a second, Chris. 1 second, having a conversation real quick.
Okay, I'll be right back.
Okay. Sorry, guys. Give me 1 second, literally. Okay, if you're there, Chris, just tell me when you're there. So you asked, does GMS give you a scene and game interface you can see without compiling the game? So kind of, yeah. DeBeastly Bro is right. It kind of does, but I don't use it a lot. That is basically through room, looking at a room. So I can look at a room here, and in here I can basically drop a background in here and put some objects in here. But mainly I just create the room, and then I do drop a couple of objects in, but they're like more like controller objects, and I do a lot of programming from there. I would probably say that I don't use it like a lot of GameMaker people probably do. I would guess that most GameMaker users would just begin dropping backgrounds in right there and getting things to interact in that way, and dropping specific objects in there. But so hopefully that answers your question. I do most of my controls though through just the programming, and like I said, I kind of do things like an enemy generator. It's the thing that is basically my timeline of enemies. I have things like an controller for the background, so I control how fast the clouds go across the screen, when when the clouds transition, when the background changes from the sky to the city, and kind of so on and so forth. So that's and that a lot of that is controlled through the enemy generator. Like I said, like I see if I've got specific enemies. We kind of make it. We kind of mapped it out. We kind of have like what we call it's like shmup tab, where it's how there's like guitar tab, but we basically have this long graphic that shows when enemies should come in at what points, and then we've tweaked it a lot since we've gone on, but that just kind of helps us all communicate at the same time and say, when it hits this point, then you do the transition to here. And so we've just kind of used like we've created our own storyboard slash shmups tab. It's like short range enemies should come in when. So Chris, if you're back, let me know. I'll just put something in chat there. Alright, so really, I mean, I pretty much got everything done that was on the list. This last one, like I mentioned a minute ago, it's a sus indicator.
I'm in, Brad. Sorry.
No, it's all good. I'm going to turn this back up a little bit so I can hear it a little better. I don't know why, but when I turn the volume for you up and then go over to the game, it's extremely loud. I think maybe I can control that in Skype. Let me see that let me see if I can do that real quick. Preferences, options, audio. Yeah, let's turn yours up louder. Can you talk a little bit, Chris?
Yeah. What's up, man?
No, that doesn't. Let me see. It kind of, I mean, it barely changed anything, but I'll just save that for now.
Do I need to speak up more, Brad? Can you hear me okay?
No, it's fine. It's fine. I think the main thing is just when I go back to the game, it's just really loud, so I got to kind of turn the program down. I don't want to blow everybody's ears out if they're listening here. If you have a background, just move left to make it look like you're moving. Basically, I have a background move left, yes, and then I duplicate the background once the very left edge of a current background gets all the way to the left of the screen. So then I just reduplicate the background and put the next background right next to the right edge of the current background, if that makes sense. Chris, my question was related to the sus indicator. I've basically knocked everything out that we talked about yesterday, like everything that we made tickets for.
Wow.
And I'm wondering, can you help me follow up with Phil about making sure the video files are working on the prototype cabinet?
Yeah. What do you need? You just want me to text him?
Just help me remember. Yeah, maybe. I mean, you don't have to text him right now, but if I don't text him right after we're off stream here, just like help me remember to text him.
Yeah.
And
I'll send him a text right now.
Okay. And the other thing was, should I actually work on the sus indicator before MGC, or do we just call it a wrap and I just start doing some code cleanup?
I would probably go into code cleanup mode.
Okay.
The only other thing I was thinking is I owe you a sound effect for the Griffin special, and I haven't gotten to that yet. And my apologies on that.
Oh yeah, let me make sure I put a ticket for that.
I've been really heads down on
no excuses, Chris.
graphics. Yeah. I know. But no, seriously, I will definitely get you that really shortly here.
So I got the Griffin special resetting pals on reset.
Oh, on continue, right?
Yeah, on continue, sorry. And then also got the katana blade slashing appropriately when the Vulcan cannon or the shotgun are firing.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, I know that was one that was, that was a big one.
Yep. How'd you go about coding the stage transition? Man, that was a tough one, dude. Yeah, I think I'm in a good position where I can basically answer that. And I can kind of show you what I did in my code and try to make some sense of it as I speak it out loud. It's kind of hard to, just jump into a file and then, because I spent a lot of time thinking through how each one of them should work. But basically, back to that enemy generator, in the tab system that we worked out. We all collectively kind of decided, which enemies we would want on screen at what points, and then what should happen after each enemy. Like do more enemies just come out, or is there a major transition here? In a couple of cases, we decided that there should be a transition, and we had to get creative when we figured that out. So let me just go to the code in the enemy generator first. So again, this is like my timeline. I will probably actually get into using Game Maker timelines, but I kind of made my own timeline for the moment. I'm probably going to get into Game Maker timelines after MGC. When I was first getting into them and I was trying to make some progress, I didn't see the ability to quickly control or have conditionals in my timelines. Although now I've done a little bit more reading, had a little bit more time for some headspace, and I think it's possible to do conditionals the way I need to. So for now, this is my timeline, and once I get to a certain point, I'm just looking here at my code. Enemy 3, tank 1. So the tank 1 is the first carrier that comes out by itself. And let me just see here. What comes after this is tank 1, group 1 dead. Yes. After that, tank 1 counter. Let's see, tank 1, group 2 dead. Okay, so right after the second set of tanks come out on screen, which again, our tanks are just kind of the standard shmup concept of a tank, right? A unit that takes a lot of hits in order to kill, and something that you should kind of be, glad about if you got a chance to kill it. Otherwise, it might just fly off screen before you get a chance to kill it. So it is the carrier, and at one point we send out one carrier, then we send a couple enemies in between, and then we send out 2 carriers. After that occurs, we set, we do some checks here. So, are there any tanks on screen? No, there are no tanks on screen. Is tank group 2 dead? Is it true or false? Did tank group 2 exist? Tank group 2 did exist. We have 0 tanks left on screen. Let's go ahead and say tank group 2 is dead. And then tank group 2 existed equals false. And then section 2 complete equals true. I don't really think I need to set group 2 existed to false at the moment, but I think this is probably the end of where this is used. So I don't think tank 1 group 2 existed needs to be there. But without reading all my code here, I'm probably not going to know that for sure because there's a lot of code in here. Let's see. 1,100 lines of code here. And this could be way more efficient, but again, I was trying at the time to figure out how to get all this to work together. And then, so once group 2 is dead, and it is set to true. So basically, I set tank 1 group 2 dead to false in the create event of the enemy generator. Once it hits this point in the level, and for sure I've sent out the second group of tanks, and I know they're dead, then I start basically a new counter. The new current counter is whatever the current room step counter is, and I begin counting from there. So I do similar to what I was doing up here, where I was checking like at 34 seconds, at 37 seconds, at 37 and a half seconds. Yeah, a lot of lines of code. Now, at the point down here, once I have my new counter, I can kind of restart over. If the new counter is new counter plus 1, or new counter plus 1.5, or plus 2, plus 2.3, these are how many seconds have passed since the new counter started, right? Then I can control a couple more things, and in this case, these are generating Necrostar instances. Necrostar, Necrostar, Necrostar. Script enemy 4 is the fly, so we're getting to the point where the transition occurs. To answer your question, Phenomality, I wanted to give you a little intro there. So pass all these Necrostar chunks. At this point, let's see here. The last set of flies come out on screen. Enemy 4 did exist. And remember, this is in a step event, so I have to make sure that nothing happens that should not happen, right? So I can't just let everything happen at all times, I have to have controls for letting the next thing to happen. So once it gets to here, previously in the create event, I set enemy 4 existed to false, and then when I get to my final place, I say enemy 4 existed equals true, trigger the mirror cloud equals true. So once I, say, oh, okay, I finally set enemy existed to true, enemy 4 existed to true, there are no enemies left for enemy 4, which is the fly, then mark this section as complete. Level, and then change the global level 1 part to level 2. Okay, so remember how I said the enemy generator, my controller for generating enemies, is also helping to control when transitions should occur. This right here is huge for the transitions, right? Because in a different controller, and I'm going to switch over to that. Let's see if I can get this minimized so I don't close it all the way. Okay, I'm going to switch over to my other controller here, which is background level 1. I have a step event here, right? I have a create event here, which sets up some general objects, mainly clouds, the front clouds at the bottom. This is basically the sunset and everything that's going by, the different cloud layers that are going by. And then I have nighttime clouds set right here. I've got some speed multiplier. I've got a speed multiplier here. This was just a quick way to say I'm going to change all the speed. If I like the way they're all kind of going right now through, I didn't mean to move all that. If I like the way they're all moving right now based on, the very front one is going 3.5 pixels per second, and the next one, the next layer that's going a different speed is 2, and the next one is going 1. As I'm looking at this, I think this is that's the way the speed works. Is speed works with how many pixels per second does this travel, not pixels per second, pixels per step does this travel. So what this allows me to do, once I have everything set correctly, which I feel like this was all set correctly with my layers, I can add a speed multiplier to it, and that allows me to speed up or slow down everything at once. So I could just come up here and change this to 2.4 or 0.9, and it would either speed up or slow down everything, but it would speed up or slow down everything at the same speed. And especially since I liked how everything worked, I could use that to control everything at once. Oh, so once I'm reading the chat. Oh, so once the second section was complete, it triggered the animations for the second part of the stage. That's correct. That's correct. So yeah, I controlled all that through the enemy controller. Then I'm starting to set some basic things for the front clouds, the middle clouds, the rolling clouds. Throughout here, you'll see this script speed engine that gets called. This allows me to speed up or slow down every object in the game at once. This is my fast forward and slow down to normal speed engine that I created. It's a basic concept, but everything in the game except for Skycurser goes through the speed engine. Things that go through the speed engine as well, besides Skycurser, that are related to Skycurser, are his weapons, so that he can, use his weapons a little bit faster than normal whenever I speed up, just so that he doesn't have the limitations that he has when going normal speed. So yeah, I'm doing that part. This piece right here, I'm controlling the background for level 1, but I'm also controlling meat mode, and I haven't really shown meat mode much in on stream, just because I've been working through a lot of level 1. But meat mode is just basically like everything in the world is coming at you, and you're trying to kill everything at once, and it's just like endless waves of enemies just coming at you nonstop. And it's in a good spot right now. It could use a little bit of work in order to be a little bit more challenging, but it's fairly challenging as it is. So this is my create event. Now let's go look at the step event. This is where all the magic happens once the enemy controller tells it that it can move on to the next part. Right? So remember how I said global.level 1 part? I set it to 2 once I knew I was ready to move to the second section. Well, on create, global.level 1 part is set to 1, and so this is part 1 of level 1, and so I know that where I should be at in this. So once this gets set to 2, it jumps down to the next section, which starts right here. If global level 1 part is equal to 2, then everything here starts. Meat mode as in you're just shooting tons of mutants that are meaty. Yeah, it is awesome. And Mach speed like the Mach speed in Beautiful Joe. Man, I always wondered how to do that. Thanks. Yeah, dude. Totally. Glad to help out, man. Yeah, so there may be some ways that I could utilize, saving the game and jumping in at a very specific section so I can speed some things up. But this was my way to make sure everything was still working and testing the boss at the same time, was to use the speed engine. So once I get to level 2 part, everything happens in this chunk of code, right? And the step event allows everything to continue happening over and over again, and it sees where everything is at and then responds appropriately. So if we look at the level 1 part, I can just kind of show that real quick, just to kind of give you a reference to how level 2 would begin, right? So I do a foreground cloud counter, and that's just some basic clouds that are in the very foreground, and I choose a speed to grant to the cloud counter. Let's see, random range 2 or 3 times the room speed, and that just makes sure that so this cloud counter determines when the next cloud should appear on screen. I just bumped my green screen for a minute. I'm just trying to make sure it was not going to move on me. Will there be a way to play meat mode? Yeah, right now meat mode is available in on the current arcade machine. I'll probably go back in before MGC and make sure it's definitely in a good state. Yeah, but it is playable right now. I can turn it on and show you in just a moment, but I'll get to that in a second.
I was just going to say, Brad, sorry, I was wanting to just jump in and add a little color to that meat mode, because right now it's still really early. We've been really focusing in on story mode, but I actually think meat mode is going to add like a whole second game to Skycurser, because it's like completely randomized. So, each time you play meat mode, it'll be a different experience, and we want to eventually start incorporating the bosses and having transitions to where, it's a new batch of enemies and things get progressively faster in terms of how many enemies come out. So I think it could be one of those really cool, like, just pick up and play and have fun games. Like, okay, you only got 5 minutes to play, you can play 5 minutes of meat mode. Kind of similar to some of the, like, roguelike games. I don't know if you guys have heard that term recently, but a lot of games are doing that where it's sort of randomized, and every time you play it's a little different. So we're planning on adding that experience in with Skycurser, like, as part of the total package.
Yeah, absolutely. It's it's very early on meat mode, and there's so much we can do with meat mode. It was just a way for us to quickly test all enemies, at any time, and it's in a really good place right now. So we're looking forward to what might be available to us with that. So anyways, continuing through here, the front clouds, I've kind of got a couple things labeled here. I look for object references. These are my layers of clouds. If it exists and the layer.x is less than 0, this is what I was talking about with, is the left edge of this layer past the left edge of the screen. If it is, then duplicate the layer 0a equals layer 0, and create another instance of that same object. So I'm looking at layer 0 object reference, and we're duplicating the object, layer 0 object reference, dot object width, and you basically want to set the new X position, because right now the X position of each one of these backgrounds is at 0, 0, which means it's the top left of the screen, right? So you can say, set it to 0, 0, and it'll be at the exact point of the screen where it will fill everything on the screen up, because it puts it right in the top left of the screen. And our screen is 320 by 240. Our background images are 320 by 240, and it'll fill up the screen entirely, right? But the problem is you don't want to put it right at X of layer 0. You want to put it right at you want to put it at the X of the previous layer plus the width of that layer. You don't want to put it at the room width plus X, because maybe that layer, you know, I just said that all of our layers are 320 by 240, but we have a couple of layers that are a little bit longer than 320 by 240. So if you have a layer that's like, let's say something really wide, like 500 by 240, you want to know what the width of it is, right? So we set a property on every layer when it gets created, and it's got its own object width, and I'll show that to you real quick. It's really simple. It's like sprite get width or something like that. Let me see. It's not here. This is the controller, so let's go down to the object itself. Object, backgrounds, layer 1, 0, create. So we've set this object width here, right? And it's based on this right here. Sprite, get width, and the exact sprite of this layer, right? I could even probably change this from the exact sprite name to sprite index because sprite index would be this exact sprite right here. But nonetheless, we grab the object width, and we know then how wide that object is, so we can set the X position of the new layer at the object width of the current layer. So it'll basically take it from, I think this is on your left, it'll take it from the left side of the screen where it's going in this direction off the screen. If it kept going off the screen, eventually there would be white space that starts filling up the screen like this, right? Well, what it does is as soon as it hits this position right where it passes the left edge of the screen, it will then recreate the entire object, or sorry, the entire layer. Well, I guess it is an object, but it recreates it all the way at the object width of whatever that specific layer is. So it goes and creates the whole other object so that it can just basically come in, and it just looks like a big loop if it needs to. That's what most of them do. Again, you'll see like the very far layer of part 1 is a very long layer, and we don't really duplicate that layer, but most all the other layers are duplicating, and so they just kind of like keep like reduplicating themselves and keep going across the screen. And yeah, that gives the feeling that you're actually moving when, you know, you're not really. You're just kind of sitting in the room. Hope that helps. Let it. I laugh out loud. It just went from sounding amazing to breathless. Yeah. Yeah, it's fun, man. It's really good. So I think we're in a good place right now. I'm not going to save anything there because I didn't really want to change anything. Not really changing anything. So does that help, guys? Does that help? Especially Frenimality, you were asking. Frenimality. You were asking how the transition worked. Did that make sense? All right. Okay, so because I think we're in a good state, first of all, I'm going to go test meet mode. I'll let you check out what meet mode is. Make sure everything's working there. I want to make sure if there's going to be a bug that I try to catch it here. But if everything's in a good place, I'm basically going to call this a wrap and export it. Awesome. Thanks, Frenimality. Glad to help. If everything looks good, I'm basically going to stop and export it, or at least commit it to our version control system so that we can know that we have a good build.
Skycurser. Mission 1. Death at dusk.
Reset.
Sky meet mode. Go.
So, there's meat mode. Pretty freaking crazy. Yeah, and I couldn't really reproduce. I couldn't really reproduce any bugs right now, Chris. I guess one thing I can check really quickly is to make sure that the I want to make sure I turn my sound back up in case you start talking, Chris, because I don't want to miss it. I want to make sure that I'm not restarting the sound effect for the eyeball plane, the EBP, if it's already occurring. I think that, Chris, it has been the what has caused the slowdown several times on meat mode. So I'm going to make sure that
It's definitely something related to sound, Brad. I couldn't obviously say like, oh, here's exactly what, but it seems to be related to the propeller sound.
Yeah, I think I've got it right here, actually. I mean, we play the sound every time one of those guys is created, and we should be stopping it. Well, that's the thing, is we may not be stopping it whenever they die. Let me check. I think that's probably the main problem, is that we only stop. I think the problem is we keep starting it, but we're not stopping it unless all of them are dead.
Okay, that makes sense.
So that would cause the sound to keep getting created basically infinitely on meat mode because all those guys just keep coming out.
Dude, that literally, I mean, that sounds very much like that could be what the issue was. It's always, there's some sound element to it in terms of like you can hear the sound of the propellers just going forever.
Yeah, I am. Okay. Do we loop that sound? I gotta find out if we loop that sound or not.
The propeller sound?
Yeah, I'm getting ready to.
I'm almost certain it's a fairly short sound and then it just gets looped.
Does it get looped? Yes, it does. So the fact that we're not ever killing it, how does it stop right now though? That's my question. Let's go do a little search. Okay. Stop all non-essential sounds. I'm not sure when we're doing that yet. On destroy. We're doing it on destroy. If global.enemy1 counter is equal to 0, audio stop sound. Yep, that's the problem. So we're only stopping the sound, Chris. It loops forever, and we're only stopping it if they're all dead. So let me think for a second how to do this, because I know we should be able to kill this sound ID. It's got to be a little bit simpler than that. You see how I'm doing this on the tank? Create EB1. Yeah. So I think I can basically do something similar to what I'm doing with the tank, except do it with the sound. Let's try it. Create, change the sound to prop sound, and basically stop prop sound. Could you throw a bool in there to control the playback? Awesome. could you do like activate the sound only once per X amount of seconds? Well, the problem, Phrenology, is it's like a continuous sound. It's like just a continuous propeller sound. And we only really activate the sound when the enemy comes on screen, but we're not stopping it enough. And since it's on loop, I think what I'd like to do is see if I can basically set it to a property and then try to stop the property with basically what is, I'm hoping that GameMaker looks at this as a sound ID. I'm going to see if that's the case. We'll find out really quick if this works or not. The other thing that I'll do, I will throw a bool in there, Phrenology, if that sound's not already playing, then that's the only time that you would start playing it, if you're allowed to start playing it. And I'm almost up with my time, guys. This will probably be the last thing I work on for today. Really loud. Turn that down. Try again. Here we go. Okay, we're back in game now.
Meat mode. Go.
I think that might do it, Chris. Dude, Meat Mode is playing really smooth at the moment. I think we got it, man.
Nice.
Well, the other thing is actually I think I commented that out. Should have been handling it properly. Let's verify. Yeah, I commented that out, so it basically should have stopped it every single time one of them died. Yeah, I think we got it, man.
Awesome, dude.
I'm gonna leave that alone for now. Yeah, man. I mean, Chris, it was playing so smooth. Like, compared to like how it has been in the past. Like, I could just tell immediately that it was playing much smoother. I don't know. It's crazy.
That's awesome, dude.